Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be none other than 12 Pool Bot taking on Eris in a ZVZ to start things off. But more importantly, a bot versus bot match. And just like the base game of StarCraft 2, there is a lot of variety in the way you can play, or program your bots to play anyway. And so, ladies and gentlemen, seeing as how we've got 12 Pool Bot, a bot that is known for its early aggression, let's go for 12 likes on this video. And if you can just leave a comment down below saying more bots, that goes a long way to helping with the bot known as the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, we're gonna see if 12 Pool Bot can pull a fast one over Eris. When there's super high levels of aggression, there is room for success even against the best opponents that Eris is. Eris is a bot that's very darn good. And yeah, we're gonna see how well or how many lings 12 Pool Bot can make off of a one base Zerg economy. Of course, the rushes are a little bit stronger in these bot games as there is speed mining, using that rapid clicking worker acceleration that only bots can do. We do already have Eris sort of sussing this out, saying Eris versus Ling Rush, so it knows. Thanks to these scouting overlords, 12 Pool Bot doesn't care about trying to avoid detection, it just sends it. And that's exactly what it's doing here today, as these lings are going to move on in. Eris has got that spawning pool about to finish up, so it fires up a queen. It's got another drone building, but we should be seeing lings build momentarily. There they are. More and more lings are on the way for 12 Pool Bot. But there is actually a hatchery going up behind this, and ling speed being researched as well. Drones are now being pulled off the line for Eris. Some very fancy micro pulling back the injured workers. Actually, most of those lings just go down. A few of them are still around, but now Eris's own lings have popped out. So 12 Pool Bot has not had the most success here. Go out, but then go back in. However, if we look at the worker or the army count, it's 12 against 8, workers 18 against 12. So there's a definite lead for Eris. The ling count is still fairly even, but Eris has 2 hatcheries up, and this is looking like a pretty solid hold from the blue Zerg. In the human game, you'd be wondering, what is the human going to do to try and come back in this game? Are they going to go for like a secret nidus or commit to more of an all-in? In this case, bots don't tend to think quite on that level, so 12 Pool Bot's just going to keep doing what it does best, and that is build lots of more lings. Eris is making a lot of its own lings on the way, though, and so we are just going to have mass lings against mass lings. Both of them are on 2 bases now, so the larva count should be even, so the ling production should be fairly even. I'm not 100% sure if off of 1 base saturation, 12 Pool Bot can produce all the lings out of all its larvae, but seeing as how it's not really banking too much larva, both these bots are actually kind of even on production right now. Despite Eris having a slight worker lead, 12 Pool Bot actually squeezes out a drone. It commits on in for an attack, but then it gets chased on out. It's got to be careful not to lose too many workers, as then nabs a Queen of Eris, so nicely done by 12 Pool Bot. Lings are skirmishing all over the place. 12 Pool Bot is bleeding off a few. Current losses is 14-0 for Eris. A lot of those died in the early fight, but we are seeing 12 Pool Bot lose a few lings on the retreat here. It's currently 33 lings against 48, so 12 Pool Bot has no business being the attacker. The red Zerg is squeezing out a couple drones here and there, which is why it is falling behind in the ling count right now. Also, the losses it's having are really not acceptable. Losing lings for nothing. It's now just being chased all the way home, as Eris has done a great job responding to this cheese. And 12 Pool Bot, yeah, the way it micros its lings, it's offering up a sacrificial one a little bit too often. It's now going to pull back, have its own queens to defend. It's got lings in the middle of the map, potentially going to intercept some of Eris's stuff. But as far as pure numbers go, Eris does seem to be overwhelming. The queen for 12 Pool Bot goes down, and lings, once they've got the bigger pack, tends to win. There's not much you can do. So 12 Pool Bot is in a lot of trouble. It's got a drone transferring down and actually joining in on the fight, but that's not going to succeed. Some Lings do come back, but it's still just not enough. And I think we've got a clear victor for this one, ladies and gentlemen. As I don't think there's any way for 12 Pool Bot to come back. It's now down a base, and Eris is on double production. It's the superior bot on most levels. And now's a good time to reveal that this is indeed going to be a multi-part video, as I wanted to cast some of the cheesier, shorter matches. And believe it or not, most of Eris's games are at least like 10 minutes long. I had to kind of scroll through a couple of replays to find a shorter match like this, because Eris so often just survives the early game, heads into its macro, and wins off the back of that. So to find a game that Eris wins sooner is actually a bit of a challenge. We have a very odd piece of Zergling floating up there. And yeah, that is going to be it. So don't go anywhere after this match. I'll load us right on into the next one. All right, we've actually got ourselves another ZVZ. This one could be very different, though, as it's going to be Evil Zoe taking on Zena into ZVZ. Zena, the aggressive random bot, just happened to be queuing as Zerg for this match. And so we're going to see how these two face off against each other. It is a 12 pool on the way for Zena, sort of letting us know what builds it utilizes. And we'll just have to wait and see which one it is. Evil Zoe does have what looks to be a hatchery first coming out, although it did tag Ling Flood for its build, despite not knowing what race Zena is. Spawning pool about to go down for Evil Zoe. Any moment now. It definitely will need that, as it's going to be facing a bit of a rush from Zena. Zena, I think, going for roaches this game, as it is mining gas. We'll see once that spawning pool is done if we do get a roach warren. There it is. No surprise. So Evil Zoe will be on the defensive in this one, and this could be really problematic for the red Zerg, as Ling Flood generally doesn't do too well against roaches, particularly in bot matches. So I think things are going to look pretty darn good for Zena with this one. Second gas on the way, as it is just going for a one base wonder. We'll probably see Burrow researched after the first queen, and then Evil Zoe will just have to contend with that. We'll see if it can get away with being the greedier of the two. Of course, the rush for Zena is going to be a little bit neutered, as of course Zerg is really held back on one base by a larva shortage. But you only need a few larvae to make a few roaches, so the first roach is now on the way for Zena. Burrow has been researched. Evil Zoe's going to have to react to that rush as soon as possible. Looks like an Overlord is moving on in, as Evil Zoe checks for an expansion, says, no expansion. Doesn't know what's up against a Zerg. I'm not sure there's any clear indication of that. A roach is now moving down the ramp, but it may just be missed by Evil Zoe's Overlord, which is drifting towards the north, a bit of a safer position, but not a bit of a safer position overall. Speed is being researched. There is Lings now being produced for Evil Zoe, but roaches with Burrow against Lings is not good for the Ling Zerg usually, so we'll see if Evil Zoe can potentially adapt, or whether it has a contingency plan upon realizing this is coming. The Lings may be able to force the roaches underground, but as long as Zena pulls them down in time, they should never die. It's currently now 6 roaches out against 10 Lings. There is queens for Evil Zoe to defend, but there's no indication that this attack is coming. That Overlord kind of dropped the ball by being a coward and not properly scouting. So Evil Zoe, as far as I know, I think it's still probably just thinking that it doesn't really know what matchup it's playing, because Zena is a random Zerg. I love the Overlord placement of Zena, by the way. Just very interesting. Kind of like a clock of Overlords. You see Overlords hanging out in such a weird fanatical position. Probably run. We do have enemy roach rush. Random Zerg, 319. Evil Zoe letting us know when this happened. Evil Zoe's now got to react to this. It is building a spine crawler, which will be massively helpful. And Ling speed is about to finish up, but the problem is most of these Lings are dying for Evil Zoe. Speed finishes up and they do pull on out of there. Time is being bought for that spine crawler though, and spines have pretty high single target damage, which is good against roaches, so Evil Zoe may be able to hold on. Evil Zoe saying underground units, fun, so it may actually get some detection. We'll see if that's going to be the case or not. The problem is with Zerg against these rushes, you either have spore crawlers or you got to build a lair, and I'm not sure Evil Zoe is doing either. That spore crawler or that spine crawler can try and hold the line for a while, but Evil Zoe has got its work cut out for it. The roaches for Zena are simply not dying. That spine is being targeted. So many lings have died for absolutely nothing of Zena yet. Roaches just, they take a shot, they unburrow, they go back under. No detection has been produced for Evil Zoe, and I think one of the only Zerg bots that I've seen consistently hold this rush from Zena is Eris, and Eris does that by building a spore crawler at its natural. And I was wondering if Evil Zoe was going to do this game, but it's not doing that, it seems. And so now its workers are in trouble. It's 50 supply against a measly 23. And no lair was ever produced, no gas was mined to help with that, which is a little odd, seeing as how Evil Zoe did say underground units, fun, but then it never really did anything about it. So I would love to see the bot authors build in something to counter this rush. Might be all they need to do in order to climb a rank on the ladder to stop losing ZVZs against Zena. But yeah, I think we've got another cheeky win for Zena, and I'll load up one more match after this one. And we'll just wait for the blue Zerg to get its victory with its roach shenanigans. And this is what I mean by the bot meta being a little bit different. Like, a strategy like this doesn't get really pulled off in human ladder because humans kind of tend to react to that kind of thing. Particularly one-base Zerg rushes anyway. GG. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here is our third match of the day. Not a ZVZ for this one, but it is going to be a bit of a team kill in the sense that it is the Terran bot of Team Eris, Phobos, taking on Deimos. And all these bots are very darn good respectively, showing us that the projects of this team are not a fluke. Now, as far as the bot level goes, it does seem that Deimos is above Phobos, but then Eris is above them all, not surprisingly. We're going to see how they match up against each other, though, as they're both quite aggressive bots. We've got Phobos and playing Terran that tends to go for tank pushes, and we'll see if Deimos can cope with that or not, or whether it'll get early damage done. And I've said it before, casting bots of one author playing against bots of the same author, it's like playing yourself in chess. You know what the moves are going to be. You know exactly what the counter is. There's no surprise to it. You decide who wins as the bot author. So it's kind of cool to see which one of these bots has had more thought put into it when it comes to facing off against each other. We do have Deimos going for a bit of a probe scout, checking for proxies and that kind of thing. And it is neat that we do get to see these bots go against each other because they're programmed to beat the other bots on the ladder, not necessarily each other. So I'm sure that the bot authors have looked at these and have been like, huh, I didn't expect our two bots to interact like that. Now, we've got a Reaper on the way for Phobos, so that could potentially catch and kill this scouting probe of Deimos. The probe runs on in, and that may be the last bit of running that probe does. Two SCVs start trying to stab it. A third one comes to hang out, probably just waiting to build a factory, I'm guessing, but there's the Reaper, kills the probe, factory goes up, as Phobos just goes for its generic macro opening. Meanwhile, we've got an Adept on the way for Deimos. It really does like that. Really does like those Adepts for their early game control. Meanwhile, Phobos is just scouting out with an SCV. The Reaper crossing the map as well. The Reaper turns around away from the Adept, and a bunker is on the way at the natural for Phobos. So I'm a big fan of that. Terrans, and not just Terran bots, all Terrans, human or not, building a bunker at the natural base is something I'm a big fan of. Now, we'll see if this bunker gets finished up or not. The Reaper is coming behind this Adept, helping zone it out, keep tabs on it. The Adept shades towards the Natural, so the Marine will have to respond. Is the Reaper going to come to help out? Yes, it is. The SCV goes down, but not before the Command Center finishes up. And Phobos doesn't exactly have the means to clear up this Adept right now. It's just one Reaper and 1 Marine. 2 more Marines are being produced. The Adept, however, makes it into the main base. This is problematic, as now it can go to work killing more SCVs. The Reaper comes on in to help out, but the Reaper's a bloody coward, as the Adept is going to start shooting away more and more of these SCVs. They do respond to stimuli, though, taking a shot and running away. Unless they're building something, then they are just dead. So these extra Marines that have been produced, they kind of need to hop out of that bunker and help out. But Phobos is having a really rough time with a single Adept causing problems. Meanwhile, Deimos is getting out Stalkers, getting out an Immortal behind this, potentially for a push later on. The Adept is still just shading around. It will eventually shade on out, so these Marines could do something to help deal with it, as 1 Marine does actually have the stones. The Reaper is definitely programmed differently from the Marines, because we see the Reaper being super avoidant, whereas the Marine is like, yeah, get it. Kill that Frisbee thrower. As we've got the bunker holding on, doing a good job, killing off that Adept, zoning the Stalkers away of Deimos. That starport did indeed finish up, so now a Medivac can be on the way. But all in all, a bit of a nice opening for Deimos. Got 5 worker kills at the start of the game, delayed its opponent, and now Deimos can either potentially get aggressive or throw up a 3rd base. I imagine we'll see a 3rd. Phobos does have that Medivac on the way, though. And it's just been producing a few Marines, so we'll see what it's going to get done, if it gets anything done against Deimos. But Marine tank is pretty decent against just mass Stalkers. Depending on the engagement, Immortals can be taken care of too, but Marines are not bad at all. The problem for Phobos right now is that it's electing to go for a Medivac drop. It does avoid those Stalkers, which is really important, as these mines are being elevated out. 3 Marines that are not inside the bunker decide to be heroes. That's quite unfortunate for them. We'll see if the bunker can hold up against all these Stalkers and Immortals. SCVs are pulled off the line to repair, so there has been some defensive thought put into this. A scan goes down to try and kill the Observer. It's not being targeted down by the Marines in the bunker, though. The bunker is being repaired to stay alive. Meanwhile, we do have this Medivac drop going off, and one thing we have seen from Deimos is that it doesn't like to defend. It doesn't like to build... It doesn't like to build Observers, and it doesn't like to attack or deal with harassment that well. The bunker at the Natural did die for Phobos, though. Pardon me for missing that, but 1 tank will be the anchor point for the Red Terran. A Raven's going to come forward, toss down an auto turret. That'll probably just die right away, but a Stalker does wander into the tank, so this tank really is the lifeline for Phobos right now, as it's, I mean, there's a lazy Reaper still darting around the map, a couple Marines out, and those 2 mines are still flying around, potentially looking for some counter damage. And there definitely needs to be some of that counter damage, as Deimos is able to shoot this command center while staying out of range of the tank. Phobos, it's investing in more production when really all it needs is more stuff, more of an army. Widow mines are going to burrow once more to kill off more of these SCVs, or those probes, pardon me, and we've seen 13 go down, which is actually quite a count. The command center at the Natural actually just dies instead of lifting off. That is not good for Phobos. The tank may be collapsed upon, and it is actually going to be collapsed upon. So I think that may be it for Phobos. Despite the mine counter drops, it wasn't able to hold the bunker. And so I think Phobos is just dead. Well done to Deimos for being able to realize that it's just a single tank. I can kill that. And the Protoss attacks of Deimos are just so darn strong. And yeah, it's not too surprising. Deimos being the better bot, it seems to be very well rounded for a relatively new project. And yeah, Phobos is just dead. Investing in too much production when it needed more army. That's for sure. It didn't need an armory. It needed more Marines and tanks to help hold on. And it did have idle production when it should have been dealing with that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the 3rd of our shorter games today. If you enjoy these shorter matches, go ahead, click that like button. Leave a comment down below saying more bots, more cheese, whatever it may be. Your comments help with the YouTube algorithm to expose more people to these cool bot matches. And then if you do want to support the channel, become a YouTube member. It is very much appreciated, and thanks to everyone that does support the channel as we watch Phobos get taken out by its brother bot. GG.